How do you want to be referred to as? Owner, founder, lead photographer?
Boss babe. No, I'm just kidding.
Hashtag boss babe. Today I'm super excited because I'm sitting down with Elizabeth Greve, the owner of Elizabeth Greve Photography. Anytime I sit down with any wedding professional, love hearing their story and kind of how they got started in all this. I call it the origin story.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of couples ask you that.
They do. It's always interesting to me when they ask me that because it's so long ago. So I'm always like, oh God, I gotta go back, tell you the story. And then I'm always trying to like revamp the story to make it sound really cool. Like, oh yeah, I just fell into this one day, worked with this really cool student. No, that didn't work. So I was in photography school after my first college. I studied art and communications at my first college, and then I kind of found photography there by chance. And then found Harrington College of Design downtown, which actually doesn't exist anymore. Columbia, I guess, absorbed all those students, so yeah. So I went there, and my third year, I only went there 3 years. The photographer that I was working with, who is an elective class for weddings, they got me interested in it. So all the professors there actually work for that genre of photography. So like if you did editorial or weddings, they actually did that in their real life, and then they taught about it at school. So it was a cool school. I'm very sad that it's closed, but that's okay. I have my degree still, I hope.
But you actually got hands-on experience then with actual professionals that were professionally taking photos.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So taking that elective class, it was great because I got to learn from somebody who actually did that and who had the experience, and kind of went off on my own. I had to go find my sisters and ask them to put wedding dresses on just to get a portfolio going. Like that's how it started. So I was doing family photography to start. And then, I had to do all these assignments for the class with wedding dresses and suits. Like I actually have a picture of me in a suit at one point that I had to put on.
Okay.
Now that I remember, which is probably out in the archives that I will never show anyone. But
no Throwback Thursdays?
Yeah, oh God, no. I will not put that up. Well, maybe I should now, So many different assignments that had to do with weddings. And then I just had somebody from high school, because it was a couple years out of high school, and they were all having to get married, and here we go. I saw you started to do this. You went to school. Can you shoot my wedding? Sure, why not? Let's go. And that was my first wedding. No experience except for classwork. And I just jumped right into it. And then 10 years later, it's mainly referrals from people, so which is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it says something about you, I hope, positively.
Oh, for sure.
When it's mostly referrals.
People like your work, they like you.
So. Yeah.
How important is it for the couple to really feel comfortable with you as the person behind the camera?
I hope a lot, yeah.
Well, that's why you get the referrals, Yeah,
well, you're gonna spend the whole day with that person, and if you don't mesh well, it's gonna be really awkward, You don't really wanna take directions from somebody that you're not really vibing with, man,
Right.
So, that's a big deal, is to find somebody that when you meet with them, you feel like you're best friends after you leave the meeting,
Or at least just, good enough friends. You're just like,
doesn't have to be
they're
BFFs,
awesome.
I know, yeah.
I
I want to be BFFs
with
you. Yeah.
I can definitely see you being BFFs with anybody, really. I've had the chance to work with Liz, and it was awesome on the wedding day. It's just so nice when everybody's just collaborating, just working together.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, it just makes the day so smooth.
So much less stressful.
It really does.
And it's also stressful for the couple, too, because if we are doing a great job together, then they're not worrying about us. They know we're doing everything professionally, and it's working well, so whole round.
Kind of with that said, I actually want to touch on this. I was going to wait until later, but I want to touch on this now.
Let's
Why not?
do it.
So how do you approach the wedding day working with a videographer? Because we're becoming more popular now. Like, what's your mindset with that?
Well, it's really hard sometimes, actually, because when we start a wedding day, it's kind of you're just jumping into it.
Right.
And most of the time, at least in my experience, when I meet the videographer, it's after I've already started the day. So I kind of have to take 5 minutes really quick and be like, hi, I'm Liz. What's your name? I'll try to remember that for the rest of the day and not just yell at you to get out of my way, hopefully, But the biggest thing is we don't really get to meet each other and get to know each other. So approaching them is hard because you're trying to develop this relationship in 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's really hard to do. So the biggest suggestion I could do for most photographers is just to do it with respect. Go up and just know that they are there to do their job just like you are.
Right.
And it's not about us, it's about the couple. So if you go into the wedding knowing that, it's gonna be okay, and we're all gonna be friends at the end of this, or not. We don't have to be best friends. But at least we have to respect each other's job and what we're there to do, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I try my best at least. You can remember from the wedding we worked with.
It's only a few weeks. Yes, definitely. No,
Yeah.
you're fantastic to work with. That's part of the reason
You as
why.
well, yeah.
I wanted
Which
to
is
bring
why
on
I'm here.
the photographer and videographer, and even the planner if there's one, the DJ as well. The four of us really kind of join forces on the day of a wedding to collaborate and make a great experience for our couples.
You hope. That's our only hope.
Right.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing. But the biggest thing is respect. Just to respect what you do, you're respecting what I do,
Totally.
and then as long as that's there, we're fine, you know. And then I think I always try to ask how you are going to shoot throughout the day. So where you're going to be, how you're going to stand, what equipment we're going to geek out on over here, and where it's going to be placed, and
Yeah.
but because that's huge. Because while I can move around, sometimes the videographer can't. And I, knowing that, will just, you know, willingly, okay, it's totally fine. If you can't move, then I can get around you. But it's changing your perspective for the entire day, how you're going to shoot, where you're going to shoot from, what it's going to look like. So I need to know exactly where you're going to be at all times. You know?
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel as if, you know, coming from a videographer's perspective, I feel like the photographer, because you do have more of a shot list that, you know, you have to go through. And personally, I love working with photographers because you guys are doing a lot of the directing. Right. So we're kind of capturing, you know, the in-between moments of like the poses, you know. I don't really capture, I capture some of the poses, but for the most part, it's like we like to get the movement and real candid moments.
The organic moment.
Yes.
I know, I love it. But I love working with videographers for that reason as well, vice versa, just because when you guys do take the time and work with the couple, I can go get those, you know, candid in-between shots that sometimes I can't get because I have to get that safe shot. You know, while my second shooter might be there to get it, I can go and get my perspective of it while you're doing your thing. So
true. So yeah, we feed off one another.
Yeah, exactly.
A great approach. You're respectful. Pretty much mentioned communication, making sure everybody's on the same page. Where are you going to be at? So you're just, you know, very self-aware of what's going on around you.
It's not about you.
Right. Right.
In this business is to know it's not about you, but at the same time, it's all about us in the same way, because while it's all about the couple, everything that's perceived afterwards, the whole day, how we made them feel, how they're getting their product, how it's delivered, everybody commenting on it, that's all on us.
Right.
So their entire wedding day basically is showcased to the world by us.
Right.
So we have a lot of pressure on us, but at the same time, we got to just be out of the way and know that it's not about us. It's the most kind of selfless job I think you could be in the wedding business, is what we do. It's something that you have to go in knowing that yes, you're going to be there building your portfolio, hopefully with these amazing pictures and shots, but you're there to get that for somebody else, not for you.
100%.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing I think I've learned.
I always hear that too from other professionals as well. It's not about the creatives on the wedding day, it's about the couple.
Right.
But at the same time, you're right, we want to bring our best selves so we can make this beautiful imagery for our couples to remember the day by. Kind of touch on a little bit of what you said right there with the product. How do you deliver your photos? Is it all digital now, or is it?
I do digitally. Everything's done in an online gallery, so they can download everything from there, print everything from there, share to social media from there.
Yes, that's awesome.
But then I also send a flash drive, because I used to send CDs when I first started.
But CDs?
Yeah, CDs. It was really interesting to find CDs that actually fit the amount of photos that I was sending. Because that's another thing too, is people ask how many photos will we get? And I can say an average for the amount of hours that I've worked, but I don't know, because it depends on how long we'll have for pictures, it depends on how much fun we're having, you know, all of that goes into how many photos you get. And so it comes down to, can that fit on that CD? And thank God we are out of the world of CDs and onto flash drives, because I can fit way more on there.
Oh yeah.
And I like the hard copy. I think some people forget about online. I mean, I know I have, of just printing out stuff because you have it on your phone, you have it on Facebook, you have it on Instagram, so why print this out, why look at it? But then that day when you actually have some time with grandma and you want to look through everything, then maybe you want that printout. So the flash drive, I think, is a nice little hard copy type thing that you need just in case the internet goes down one day.
Right.
So you have that copy you can look at always. So digital and hard copy, too.
Do you have, obviously, backed up somewhere? So like couples like reach out to you later and they're like, hey, can I get our photos?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I just had a bride from 2012 contact me. Yeah, because she had never downloaded any of her photos. and it was on an old site that I had used before that no longer exists. And so she asked about getting hers, and I'm like, oh, I have to re-upload that now. So I re-uploaded it and sent her a flash drive with it. She could purchase it, separately. But
yeah, so you always have it just in case,
oh gosh, yeah,
something happens.
Hopefully.
Right.
Yeah, because I have heard nightmare stories from people, even my boyfriend's parents, their wedding photos, they only have these printed out pictures. They don't have any sort of hard copy because the photographer, it was filmed, so the photographer doesn't have it anymore.
Right.
And so that just makes me so sad, because what if something happens to them, something gets burnt, anything, and they don't have these photos anymore. And so, yeah, I always keep them just for that reasoning. I have
That's
so many
awesome.
hard drives.
Yeah.
So many hard drives. When we move, that's going to be the biggest box we have, is all my hard drives. Yeah, but then you have online backup systems as well, which is huge in today's day and age, especially because you can't really trust everything that's constantly changing year after year.
Totally.
Including hard drives, so yeah, always backing up.
If you're moving and you happen to drop something, you never know.
God forbid, I know,
Right.
yeah, but you have to have it backed up somewhere, so everything's triple backed.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've got quadruple, I've got just like
you
you,
never
hard
know
drives.
what's going to happen, yeah.
That is interesting that you brought up film, because now with like the digital cameras, it's so much easier to take photos. Like anybody could buy a DSLR mirrorless camera,
Right.
even
And they are,
our phones.
I know.
And take some beautiful imagery.
All the iPhones now, the advertisements of it's better than, this celebrity videotaped her whole video on an iPhone 11. I'm like, oh.
Right.
So it just makes more photographers at weddings show up, because everybody's got the great camera on their phone. And so it loses the kind of artistic appeal that we present.
What are your thoughts on unplugged weddings?
I love them. I used to love them more. I think I loved them more when, probably going to kick myself for saying this, but when we had less technology in phones and in cameras. Because now, couples have their hashtags. They have the people with the higher end cameras, with the quality cameras on the actual phone. And so I get that they want that immediacy in those pictures, because they want to see it right away. And with us, it's going to take a little time, because we need to put our editing style on it. So I understand why you wouldn't have an unplugged wedding and why you would encourage other people to take pictures. The only part of it that I don't like is the disruptiveness in something as intimate as a ceremony. That is the biggest thing to me. When something is happening in between the couple and they're sharing a moment, and somebody comes in the middle of the aisle in front of me and just has to get that shot because their phone is going to take the best, awesomest picture in the world. It just doesn't matter about the photographer that they paid good money for to be there. So as far as respecting vendors, it's a big thing about hopefully the guests respect us as well, because the couple, and respecting the couple, they paid how much money for us to be there. Respect that time and amount paid, and let us do our job, So hopefully they would, but I don't really mind it all the time.
Yeah.
Because of course, your family from out of town, your family visiting, you don't see them all the time. This is a very important day, and people who probably don't get together maybe more than once a year are coming together for these pictures. So I totally understand, especially during family formals when everybody's behind me and I have to politely ask them, can you just back up a little bit so I can get this really quick? And I try my best, if we have the time, to take the picture and then just let everybody go crazy with their cell phones. Like, get in there, take that photo, get that best shot you think you can, Because why not? They're there as a guest, they're there for family, and so I say, why not let them enjoy that time and take those pictures as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned the ceremony. That's really the part where it's maybe just put it away for this, or stay in your seat.
Right. Oh my
Don't
gosh,
be
just stay in the
floating around. Yeah, right.
Yes. Well, and then you see the Uncle Bobs with the DSLRs out there. I just had that happen at a wedding.
Did you?
Actually had a 70-200
Really?
lens standing up all over during the reception, during the ceremony, everything, just standing up with that lovely camera. I hope I got some pictures of him just so they can see him, because I just thought it was funny. Like, it didn't even annoy me because he wasn't in my way, because I think he knew, don't get in the way of the photographer. But I do want to see what he was shooting.
I always want to see what they shot.
Yeah, but the ceremony is a big deal, I think, as far as being unplugged and just enjoying it, because
Absolutely.
as many people think a wedding can be this big party, the ceremony is such an intimate, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And to not be able to photograph it in the best way and not be actually there, living it, you know, as a guest is huge. I mean, being able to witness two people, not behind your phone, say I do and I promise the rest of my life to you, like that is huge. That's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times during weddings when I've been able to, you know, if it's a long ceremony, I've been able to actually like put my camera down and listen a little bit.
Sure.
And I try really hard when I'm hiding behind there to just listen. And my God, I've cried so many times behind the camera, which is actually good that I have the camera because then I can hide my tears. I'm an emotional person, so when it comes to beautiful ceremonies, I'm always crying with them. But I think it would be just it would mean more if I could sit there and just listen. For somebody I know, for a really good friend, for a family member, and watch them. And I mean, I'm guilty of it. I think we all are, of putting up the phone and taking pictures of it.
For sure.
Definitely am guilty of doing it.
Of course.
But if somebody actually put a sign that said, you know, we really appreciate you not having your phones or your iPads.
Yes.
Those things. The phone's fine, do that. Maybe not the iPads.
The thing with the iPads too, that's different from the phones, is that they're bigger. So not only are you blocking your own vision from actually experiencing what's happening, but you could also be blocking another guest from seeing over the iPad. So
like grandma?
Right. Unless
grandma's doing it.
Unless grandma's doing it, then do your thing, grandma. I'm not going to argue with grandma.
I know, nobody's going to argue with grandma.
Right.
You do your thing. You get your shot.
I'm going to shake her hand later if she holds it the whole time.
I know.
It's got a little weight to them. So if I'm a couple, right, and I'm researching a photographer, what is, in your opinion, the first thing that couples obviously should be looking for when they're surfing the web for photographers? Unless they don't have any referrals from friends or anything.
Yeah, I mean, besides the referrals, because that's a huge way of how people find photographers. I mean, last 10 years or so, that's the majority of the reason people have booked me is through referrals and their friends saying you have to hire her, which is great, and I hope that continues. But the biggest thing next to that, I think, would be style. You follow specific people on social media because of their style, because of what they're posting. And so I assume when couples meet me that they're already looking at my portfolio. So it's kind of redundant for me to be like, here's my portfolio, look at it again, you know, because I'm already posting the best of the best, what I want to shoot on my Instagram, on my Facebook, on my website. They're already seeing all that. So the next step that I would always suggest to them is ask for a full gallery. Because while, yes, everybody's posting their best work on social media, you're not necessarily seeing every single thing from start to finish. So I always show them that of here's what it is, here's the getting ready, here's the family formals, here's the ceremony, the candids, the reception, black and white photos, color photos, everything. Because it's everything in between that they're not gonna necessarily see on the website. And I think that's huge because that will right there determine whether or not you're working with a professional or an amateur. Because somebody who doesn't know how to change lighting, how to work with indoor, you know, off-camera flash, all of that stuff. I mean, that's stuff that maybe somebody who doesn't know anything about photography wouldn't know to ask. Is I need to see everything from start to finish because it's going to look different.
Once they find you, they see your work, they love your style, then they reach out to you, and you'd say like the first thing they should be asking for is to see more photos, or is this a time where you set up obviously a consultation to chat with them?
I always try to meet with them in person, and if we can't, I try to do a FaceTime or a call at least, just because email and texting, and now direct messaging on Instagram, that is an interesting way of contacting people. Yeah, it's just so, it's weird to me that I'm getting inquiries for weddings in Instagram and they go, are you available on this date? What are your prices? And I'm like, okay, so do you want to meet and get to know me first, you know? And it becomes more of the price shopping, I get it. But to me, I think ideally if you're going to find somebody who's going to spend the entire day with you photographing some of your most intimate moments, you should at least meet with them and understand if you're going to get along with them, because they're going to be directing you. And that's huge, to get to know them as a person and understand if you like them. Like I hope everybody that's worked with me has liked me, but you can really only know that if you're meeting with them in person. And if over coffee, over a drink, you can you feel comfortable, so that if you're going to be in front of their camera, you're not going to just freeze up and not know what to do because you felt awkward at the meeting with them. Hopefully you didn't book them because you felt awkward at the meeting with them. So
right.
Yeah.
No, that's so good. Yeah, definitely. That's super interesting that you brought that up, because I'm seeing that as well as far as messages on social media, seeing if you're available. I always direct them to my email
always
to set up some sort of phone call.
Right.
I know some couples, younger couples, they're so used to just messaging that it's just, why can't we just talk through email? Like, it's not as personal, right? And the wedding day, it's kind of personal. Yes. So, what is a great question that you wish a couple would ask you?
Well, why I do weddings, why I love shooting weddings, because they always ask how it started, but they never get into why you do it. And the whole meaning behind it, your perception of their day, how it looks, and how you can photograph it, because it's so different from every other wedding you've shot. That's why. It's such a beautiful experience to be a part of, and it's so different all the time that it's so intriguing because of that. So every single wedding is as exciting as the first one I ever photographed. I always show up kind of like nervous. I barely eat my breakfast. I barely eat lunch throughout the day. Well, we don't have time to eat lunch throughout the day. Just snack, And I'm just so excited. So when people feel that excitement vibe, it's real because it's so new. It's just an amazing day to be a part of. And as cheesy as that sounds or scripted as that sounds, it's not, because every wedding is different. So you don't know what to expect. It's going to be something that you talk to your couple about planning, months, years ago, and it's finally coming to fruition. And it's just a cool thing to see, and you get to photograph it. That's pretty cool. It's a cool job to be in. I love it. Yeah. I hope I'll never stop doing it. 10 years later, we'll see. I should say 20 years later.
That's a long time.
I know, and it's a lot of work because I run around like a crazy person. So another 10 years, we'll see where I'm at. I hope I'm still doing that. It'll keep me in shape. That's a good thing to say.
Weddings definitely are a lot of cardio.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the different seasons, especially in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, you see all these different trends all over the country and all over the world. And I love the light in California is probably my favorite, just because
that's what I've heard.
Oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. And you can never get better than that sometimes. But it's also kind of not fair because it's always like that. And here we have to work with so much different, so many different aspects of weather, of light, of, shade, of temperatures, right. Everything. And you have to prepare yourself for that. So just like every couple's different, every day, every season is going to be different. Right. So preparing for that ahead of time, I mean, you need to know that if you're going to be in this business. A couple books
they're figuring out the schedule for the wedding day. Are you guys sitting down and figuring out where they want to go as far as taking photos? If that's something that's obviously important to them?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I always, especially in their engagement session, I'm always talking about if it's in the same area. So for example, say Chicago, and they're getting married downtown, and they do in their engagement session downtown. I always suggest kind of picking your top 4 or 5 locations, and then we'll do maybe half of them for the engagement session, so you get your pictures there. And then think about when the wedding's going to be, what season it's going to be, and pick out backup indoor locations, just in case. And that's huge in Chicago too, because it's changed so much with required permits and where you can and can't go. That's changed so much in 10 years. There's so many places I could go before that I can't go now unless the couple pays big money to go there, which is a little sad, but I think because we have so many different photographers and so many different new venues in the city now, they kind of have to be that way. Right. But as far as locations go, it's picking your favorite spots and then, figuring out if you're going to have time for that. So when I work with a couple, timeline is huge. And I always send them a survey beforehand of, what time is everything, so I can kind of plan it out with them. And if they have a wedding planner, I always try to work with them as far as all their little details. Because, as you know, wedding planners send us these 5-page long, every single second detail of the day, where we don't necessarily need that. So my schedule looks way different, a lot shorter, 1 page. And it's just kind of their timeline with me, which is usually like 8 or 9 hours. And I plan it out so that we have this much time for pictures beforehand, for the first look, this much time after the ceremony, this much time for the reception, this time, for family portraits, all that stuff. And then determining how long it's going to take us to go from this location to the next location, that's huge too. Because if you're having a Friday wedding in the city and you have to deal with traffic, which happened to me this year, my couple didn't get one of their locations because we were stuck in traffic. And so we went to their final location, which I made sure that final location was their we have to go there location. So we didn't miss it. So that's the big thing too. Picking out locations, but then having that one that's like, I can't miss that. That's the one we want to go to. Yeah. But figuring out your timeline is huge with photographer and videographer. Just knowing exactly where we need to go, how long it's going to take to get there, and then is it important to you? That's a big question I ask for every engagement session, is picking out a location that might be really important to you as a couple.
Yes.
Because, yeah, you could have this really cool background with the city that everybody goes to and everybody gets that shot. Is it important to you? Like, how does it pertain to you two as a couple? Like, is this where you met? Is this where you got engaged? Is this your first date spot? Like, anything like that. That should be the first thing that gets into your head when you're thinking about where to go, how important it is to you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you sent a questionnaire. Yes, questionnaires are awesome. And why are they awesome, Liz? Because we get to know our couples a little bit more personally.
Yeah.
So we can really customize these photos or videos to them. It's like, wow, like they'll see and be like, remember that memory we had there?
Right.
I love that. That's so cool. So you're saying that couples should consider specific locations that have meaning for them.
And I know that a lot of couples, when they're searching, especially because of Pinterest and Instagram now, when you search, Chicago engagement photos, all these popular spots are going to pop up, and I get it. But when you pick something that is important to the two of you, it means so much more, and your pictures are going to mean so much more. And you're going to love them so much more. Because if you find a unique spot that maybe nobody has shot in before, everyone's going to wonder where that was, and then that's going to be the most popular spot now going forward. So just find a place that means something to you, and then work it out with your photographer.
The reason I'm thinking about this now because of your post on Facebook the other day about first looks. Oh, yeah. I would love to hear a photographer's thoughts on the first look. And in case a couple doesn't know what a first look is, do you want to kind of explain that?
First look, definition, let's go. I would say it's becoming more of a norm, so most people probably know what it is. Right. Because as I said in the post, more couples, often than not, are coming to me and just saying that they're going to be doing one and that they planned one in their timeline before I even suggest it. Because I used to have to suggest it to them as an option because we didn't have enough time for pictures. So first look is basically seeing each other before the ceremony, and it's usually just the two of you, unless you want the wedding party or immediate family surrounding you, but most couples don't because they want the privacy. Of course, privacy also means your photographers and your videographers all surrounding you, staring at you with their equipment.
Pretty much.
But usually we try to stay, further away so you can have those couple of moments together, because it really is the only time you have alone for the entire day. And I always preface that when I set them up for the spot. I always say, we're going to put you in the spot and kind of tell you where to go, but then I want you to just take a couple minutes and be by yourself because that's your time alone. And you say, hey Liz, we're done, come take some pictures with us now. So it's become such a normal thing that couples add to their timeline now that I only had one couple this year out of all the weddings that actually wanted to just wait till their ceremony. And while that was still beautiful, and I still welcome that if we can do it, the only time I suggest the first look is always because of schedule and timeline. Because a lot of people are doing later ceremonies now. So when you have a later ceremony, you're going to have maybe 10 minutes for pictures between that and the cocktail hour. Otherwise, you're taking all of your photos during cocktail hour, and that bums people out more than they will ever realize. And I don't think they understand what that means, meaning you won't see anybody during your cocktail hour. You're going to be out with your videographers, your photographers, taking pictures, hopefully for that entire time, because usually if we get an hour, we're going to take that hour.
Right.
And then you go right into your reception. So everybody who's there visiting you is not going to be able to visit you because you didn't see each other before the ceremony. And the great thing about first looks is they can be made so intimate and so beautiful that it's not just this spoiled surprise before a ceremony. It becomes this beautiful, intimate moment for the two of you to share. And now you have all these photos that weren't surrounded by everybody at the ceremony. It was just you two. So I love them. I am a big advocate for them. I hope people keep doing them But I also love the tradition of seeing each other at a ceremony too. So it's really up to what you like, what you want to see your day looking like. But it does come down to the schedule.
Absolutely. You brought up the schedule, which I kind of want to touch on a little bit.
Right.
So if the ceremony is later, especially in, if you're in Chicago and it's October, sun's going down at 5 o'clock.
Even earlier sometimes. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that's why another reason why the first looks awesome. You can see each other in the afternoon, get a lot of great photos, together with the wedding party afterwards. So yeah, the schedule, I think that's something super important. So discuss the schedule with your photographer so you guys can figure out.
I hope so, yeah.
Right.
Because if you're not in sync with your photographer, then what are you doing? Yes.
Right.
You're literally running around the city not knowing where you're going. And your photographer has that timeline on them, so hopefully they do. And they'll be taking you around to every single spot, checking their watch, checking their phone, checking everything, their Apple Watch, everything. Just to make sure, okay, we've got 5 more minutes, we can fit in 20 more poses,
Right.
Anything. So the first look gives you that extra time that maybe you don't have in the afternoon. And it's so much more fun now because, especially in the city too, you're in one location. So if you have a first look in the city, you could have a really cool backdrop, you could be in a really cool hotel, you could be by the river, anything, and then be able to run around the entire city for a couple hours. And then you go to your ceremony and reception and not have to worry about portraits for the rest of the day. You did it all. You are done. You don't have to smile and pose anymore. You just get to enjoy the rest of your day.
Right.
So I mean, that to me, I am sold on first looks for that because you're not splitting everything up. It's just done. Ready to go.
For sure. What's your opinion on second photographers? I mean, is that something that you prefer couples to do, is to book a second photographer?
I don't always have a second photographer. In fact, my first 5, maybe even 6 years of doing this, I'm now heading into my 11th season. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's cool. It's very cool.
It is cool.
It seems like a long time, but it also feels like yesterday.
For sure.
But for the first couple of years, I never had anybody shoot with me. So I was always working to get every single shot on my own. And I still kind of have that mentality when I go into a wedding day, which is why you'll see me running around like a chicken with the head cut off. And it's always what I say too. I need a new saying for that. What's another word for chicken with the head cut off? I don't know.
Something
just a crazy Greve running around somewhere, But
awesome.
I have to catch everything because I had to those first couple of years. Now, that being said, I have a second photographer as an option. It's an added option. You don't have to have one. I had 2 weddings this year that didn't have them, and they were smaller, they were shorter weddings, they were a little bit more intimate, and I feel confident no matter how big the wedding is to be able to cover it. Hopefully you do as a photographer or a videographer that you can do it on your own. It is great and wonderful to have somebody you know and trust being there who can help you for that stuff that maybe you don't have time for. If you can cover a whole timeline by yourself and you can get away with it, I'd say go for it. It's down to the couple's decision. If they really feel you need that extra time, or we just cannot work out your schedule so that I can't be in 2 places at the same time, then yes, let's bring somebody on. It's a huge help, and they really do get different perspectives for you that you wouldn't necessarily do unless hopefully you've had the experience of covering it by yourself, which I have, and I toot my own horn for that, so I'd like to say that I have that experience. But having a second photographer, it really does give you a different perspective. I will say it was different for me when I started bringing people on because I didn't know how to just let them go and do their thing. Like I was still kind of almost getting in their way of, I'll get that, I'll take care of that, I'll do it. So I do have some friends who've worked with me, and they're like, we don't really know how to second shoot with you because you're running around all over the place. I'm like, I know, I got to get that shot, But now I've learned that we have a second photographer, and a lot of them are my closest friends. Coming to work with me, I can trust them wholeheartedly, knowing that they are going to cover that how I want it to be covered, how my couple intends it to be seen through my style. So, and that's huge too, finding second shooters, second videographers. It's very hard to find sometimes, but when you can find people that you trust, you don't want them to go away.
It's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because they are representing you, and they're representing your company, who you are, who the couple hired. So another question a couple might ask is, are you the main photographer? Which is really strange to me sometimes that I get that question. But I guess because you worked with or met with bigger, studios that have 10 to 15 different photographers. Right. I've had those couples in the past who they did an engagement session with one, and some random person showed up they had never met before, and they were so uncomfortable they decided to nixed their contract and found me instead, which was great.
For sure.
But it just made me sad that so many other people are still doing that and meeting with people they don't know. So as far as me being the main photographer, yes, it's me. I'm the one showing up. Second photographer is a great help. And if you really want that perspective and more photos and different option, then yeah, of course book one. But I also think it should be an option because you don't necessarily need one. Yeah. I don't know, what do you think about that? Do you always have a second?
My sister's been my second ever since we started.
Yeah.
I've been so grateful. I have shot weddings by myself before for sure, and it definitely is a different, same mindset, but it's just times two.
Right.
Right. So
yeah. You're kind of all over the place.
You're all over the place, for sure.
I love engagement sessions. I think they are more needed than not.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I did have a couple of different couples this last year who just said no to them. And that's okay, you don't have to do them. And I think a lot of people don't do them because I've heard they were on vacation and got pictures somewhere, or they only needed like one photo somewhere to send their save the date, so they didn't really want to do a whole session.
Sure.
And I have to always explain that I don't always do an engagement session with a couple because of your save the dates. Like, that's not the only reason to do an engagement session. The biggest reason for me, and I can attest to this, is being in front of the camera and learning how to be comfortable with your photographer in front of the camera. Because even before we started this, I told you how uncomfortable I was because I'm never in front of the camera, always behind it. So for my couples, I encourage them to do an engagement session because of that reason, to have that practice with each other and knowing your photographer even better so that when we're done, you know what to expect on your wedding day. It's not like I'm showing up yelling, directions at you and you're like, what are you making me do? Because the engagement session is practice for that. But then, in addition to it, it is like this extra beautiful photo shoot that you get that you would never have done before. All these extra photos that you aren't wearing your wedding dress or your tux or something for, so that you can actually document that time in your life. Because your engagement goes by so fast, and you don't really get to enjoy that time being a fiance and celebrating that time. So celebrate it with some pictures. Have those to show somebody one day that aren't just your professional wedding photos. I love them. I love engagement photos. And it's so much more time. So the only couple that I did this year that didn't do a first look, they had their engagement session 2 days before their wedding.
Interesting, okay.
And it was just because of scheduling throughout the year, everybody was busy. But it was great because I spent almost 3 hours with them downtown. And I never mean to. I have a set time of what I tell my couple so they know when to expect to be done. But I spent almost 3 hours with them because we were having so much fun. And they didn't have to be anywhere, and I didn't have to be anywhere. And it was a gorgeous fall day. So I said, why not? Let's keep going, get all these pictures. And it was perfect because they only had about 15 minutes for portraits on their wedding day. So because of that, I spent 3 hours with them getting all these amazing pictures downtown, where on their wedding day, we didn't get nearly as many because they didn't have enough time, because they didn't do a first look. So you just gotta outweigh what you don't want, what you want from it, and then make that decision. But I love them. I love them so much. They're probably more so than weddings sometimes. Because it's it's time that I don't have to rush, and it's not restricted to a certain location. We can go wherever anybody wants. You can fly me out to California, which thank God my friend did. That was amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Do you ever video engagement sessions?
So we did early on. It wasn't really, I guess it kind of would be an engagement photo session with just video. And we've done it a couple times. I think I'm going to start doing it again because it does let couples get comfortable with the camera.
For sure, yeah.
But I'm finding that, as long as the couple is comfortable with you, the professional, the creative that they know, like, and trust behind the camera, their guard just goes down. Yeah. They want to play with the camera. They're like, all right, let's make me look good on here, okay? So as long as, like you're saying, they get comfortable with working with you in that engagement session on the day of their wedding, it's like, all right, Liz is here.
Yeah,
She's gonna take some sweet photos of us.
I know, and I love that because when I show up to a wedding day and my bride or my groom, whoever, comes up and gives me a hug and they just, whatever you want us to do, that's why. That's why I love doing this, because I get to know these people so personally, on a personal level, that I feel comfortable with them too, because it needs to go both ways. If we're uncomfortable with somebody, it's gonna be really awkward taking their photo, if they don't wanna do anything I suggest, cool. It's gonna be a long 8 hours. Which has happened before, because some people are a little bit different on their wedding days because they or in a different mindset of being a little stressed out, surrounded by people, center of attention, so I get it. So if you work with somebody who can calm you down a little bit and be able to kind of let you forget about that you're the center of attention, hopefully I can do that for people so that they can calm down and just relax and have fun and just be with each other. Ultimately what you want out of every wedding vendor you book is that they make you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's 100%, especially the ones with the cameras.
We hope so, yeah.
Nobody, don't get,
Yeah.
I always let couples know on consultations that we're going to make sure that we're going to be getting your good side. We're not going to be like getting shots of you eating.
Right.
Nothing unflattering. So like that's part of, trusting the professional. How can a couple, I guess, save money with a photographer?
Well, if you're already following somebody whose style kind of talks to you in a way that, like, for example, so I have a lot of couples lately that are, when they get engaged, they're contacting me saying, I've been following you for years, I was just waiting to get that ring so I could contact you.
That's awesome.
It's usually those couples that no matter what you're charging, they want to book with you because of their interest in you and your style, or they know you.
And they see your value, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. But that's the next thing is, do they value you even knowing your style? And I think it comes down to what they know, what everybody in this business is telling them, what they've learned from other couples. And the biggest thing about when you're planning for a wedding, I've heard from couples that when I do a post-wedding survey of, asking them questions after a wedding for their blog post, number one question I ask is, what kind of advice would you give to other couples after you've already planned this, after you've gotten your photos? What can you suggest to other couples while they're planning their wedding? And I think the biggest thing for wedding vendors is the value of them. What are you getting with your price, and is it worth it to you? And if it is, then hopefully it wouldn't matter what the price is, and hopefully you're able to put that in your budget. I've had couples who have moved around their budgets because they wanted, me in their wedding, which I'm grateful for because they value their photos. And every couple that I've ever worked with, the number one thing they say is photography is the most important thing for me for my wedding day, because that's all we have after our wedding. So if you value it, you're going to pay for it. And if you pay for a service that maybe is more expensive than you like, then question it. Meet with your photographer, question why it costs that much, question what goes into it, what they actually do that they have to charge that much, or question the market, question where you're getting married at. If you're getting married in Chicago versus getting married in Florida, or I don't even know, some hodunk town somewhere that there's one photographer in town, there might be a completely different price difference. And in Chicago, there are so many different photographers. There's so many different wedding venues and so many different factors that go into what it costs, that yes, in Chicago it's going to cost more for what you're getting for your value, but it's because of that market, because of where you're at, and because hopefully of the value of that photographer and what they bring to the table, and hopefully it's worth it to you.
So if you could give one piece of advice from what you've learned over the years to a couple when they are on search for a photographer or working with a photographer, what would you say to them?
Just one?
One good one, I guess.
Oh boy. I'd say probably trust your instincts when you initially meet them. I think when you meet someone, you can kind of get an idea of what they're going to be like from the get-go. If you're trusting that it's going to be a good relationship, then go with that. Push forward, ask more questions, ask more about them personally. Don't even just ask about their business, ask more about them, where they came from, what their family is like, all that, because they're gonna get to know you so intimately on your wedding day, then why shouldn't they get to know you? And they're showing up, paying for you to be there. They should know who you are behind the camera. Ask questions, get to know them, and trust your instincts on that. If you think that they're gonna be a good fit with you, then trust that and go with it. Book them.
You're gonna have to wrap on that, Liz.
All right.
But you were
now
awesome.
I just got into it.
Now you're like, you're on a roll. I want to say thank you so much for sitting down and
course.
chatting with me. This has been awesome. You can tell you have passion for what you do. That's huge.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
it.
it shows in your work. So
This is cool. I
thank
loved
you.
it.
Where can couples find you if they want to see your work, reach out to you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all that jazz. on Pinterest too. But my Facebook is Elizabeth Greve Photography. My website is www.elizabethgreve.com, and the Instagram is Elizabeth Greve Photo. And then you'll find everything from there. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This is so much fun.
Yes.
I'll do it again. Part 2. Coming to you soon.
Part 2. You heard her say it, guys. All right? I got evidence right here.